Okay. You're really drinking coffee right now?
Decaffeinated.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
It is 1:30 in the morning, and we are finishing up our second 0 day here at the Holiday Inn Express. And where are we?
Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
And I've been thinking about making this video for a little while and putting it off just because I haven't had the energy to. And finally, it's like, you know what? We're just gonna make it and see what happens. And I hope it helps.
Because we may not find the energy in the next 5 months.
Yeah, that's true. So, as the title, this exposure is all over the place, sorry, and this is the only quiet place we can find. As the title suggests, this is a message to the haters out there, and to the lovers actually, because hopefully it will be clarifying, if nothing else. We started a YouTube channel about 2 or 3 years ago because we felt like we had something, a lifestyle that we've been really thankful for, that we thought could help some other people maybe not feel as alone. And we purposefully grew the channel very slowly. Like, we didn't market it, we didn't try and do all the stuff that people do to get big fast, because we were more interested in finding the right types of people that would benefit from it than just finding anyone that would click on it. So our content, we know, is not for everyone, and a lot of people just don't like us or aren't into us, and that's okay. We're not trying to change us to be more palatable to you, and we don't expect you to, watch us if it's not helpful for you. You can watch something else. So then we do this whole AT planning thing, and at first we weren't gonna vlog, and then we decided, you know what, we have all this experience with cameras, and I think it's a killer story, and I actually think we'll have the time and the energy to do it and not compromise our family's goals. Let's try and do it. And then everything exploded. Our videos are getting a ton more views, and as the videos have got a ton more views, we've gotten all this feedback from these masses of people that I'm you don't know us, and it's it's a lot of just weird, frankly hateful comments. Not all of them, but there's more than we've ever dealt with before, I guess I'll put it that way.
And a lot of ignorant comments.
Yeah, and it's not to say that the people are all ignorant, but maybe about us they are. So that's why we're making this video, is to set some things straight and to share with you guys our opinion of things. And there's a few reoccurring comments that we see all the time, and one of them is that you shouldn't be hiking with a 2-year-old. You guys are ill-prepared. This is stupid. You're gonna fail. That kind of stuff.
You shouldn't be hiking in bad weather. Is another big one.
Yeah. And I guess I just want to point out, there is no one way to backpack. Just like there's no one way to live life. I mean, what some people consider dangerous, other people consider recreational. It's a very subjective sport, if you want to call it that. Some people are comfortable bringing an 8-year-old out. Some people want to wait till their kids are 10. Some people are okay with a 4-year-old. We're okay doing it with a 2-year-old, but it wasn't always that way. I mean, we've had a ton of backpacking and outdoor experience. Not on the Appalachian Trail, but this isn't our first time doing it. But that's not really the point, And I guess the other comment we hear all the time is, oh, you guys are just dragging your kids along for your dream. This is you guys' thing. That to me is the most ignorant comment that we see the most often, because first of all, you don't know us. I'm almost 40, and my goal in life right now is not to fucking walk 2,200 miles in the snow.
To sow some wild oats.
Yeah, to prove to the world that I'm badass.
We've
or
had
whatever.
Those moments.
15 years ago,
20s.
I was there. I was yeah, more extreme the better, I'm gonna do it. I don't feel that way anymore. I wanted to climb Everest back then, and it was just caution to the wind and just do crazy stuff. if I had my way right now of like what my perfect lifestyle looked like, it would be smoking cigars and reading books at home with like peace and quiet, with Cammy playing guitar in the background and having sex every night in a bed. That would be that would be where I would be. But so then there's this question, well, why are you doing it with your kids if it's not your like crazy ass dream that you want to fulfill? And the reason is because it's our belief system. From our experience doing difficult things of this nature together is one of the best things that we've ever found we can do to grow ourselves, our children, our relationship with each other, and our relationship with God. And those are the most important things to us in all of life, period. Way more important than comfort, way more important than safety. And I know people are going to jump on that. I believe safety has its place, but I believe safety in and of itself is actually a very terrible goal. Like at the end of your life, no one gets to their like memorial service and wants to hear, oh, Frank, he was such an awesome guy. He was so safe. Like he made it so far and so long. Like that's, you know, it's just not, I don't know, at least for me, I don't care about that. That's not what is important to me.
It's not the highest
priority. No, it's something I want to keep in mind along the way, but it's not what dictates my goals in life. So with this in mind, our oldest daughter is 16. She'll be turning 17 here in a month. And we realized, man, we have so little time with our kids. And we care about our kids so much and their personal, relational, and spiritual growth that we believe this is the best thing we can do for all of them. And I do mean all of them. So let's take the most obvious example, the 2-year-old. It's really hard. It's not like there's not sacrifices for certain individuals and for certain time periods. And one of the things we're aware of is that 2-year-olds like to run around and jump and play all day long and not be strapped to the backs of their parents for 8 hours a day at times. And, you know, I know like that's a really hard thing. But even in the short amount of time that we've done this, we have seen my relationship with Rainier. I mean, we were just smoking a cigar and you were saying, you want to just say what you said to me there?
Ben gets 8 hours of uninterrupted time with Rainier right there with him at home. You know, he would be over at grandma's watching cartoons. He'd be running around and you know, all that is great and I think is good for 2-year-olds, but this is a really unique window of time that we see. It's temporary. It's not going to last very long. And I mean, even Rainier's language has improved by just being on his back, and he's constantly talking to him, interacting with Ben. They're singing together. Yeah,
I mean, I've fallen more in love with that kid in the last 3 weeks than ever. Mm-hmm. And I've watched it happen with every which way. I feel like it's happened with our relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like watching the siblings, like the way that they've had to bond together and play, and like, I mean, they've like needed each other. And people freak out when I say this, but it actually is life and death out there. I mean, you guys saw our latest like snow videos. And some people are like, oh, well, that's stupid. Like, you should never put your kids in life and death situations. But that's a fantasy, you guys. Like, every time you hop on the freeway, you're in a life and death situation, period. Like, you know, the fact that there are certain places and ways to live that are safe is a complete myth. And I think in America, we are so numb because we have so much comfort that we actually think safety is an option, that it makes our lifestyle look, although it is extreme, it makes it look like so reckless and way more extreme. But it's actually not safety, I think, that's the biggest concern for people. It's actually compromising comfort. And that's something that we've decided as parents we are willing to forego for certain time periods. And that in training our children, that's something that we're teaching them to forego. And it even happens with Rainier. And some people say, oh, well, he gets to make that choice. That's ridiculous too. No 2-year-old makes all their choices. You don't let your 2-year-olds decide what they want to eat. I mean, they would eat candy all the time. But we as parents decide, hey, it's better for you to have this thing that we believe is better for you in the long run, even though it kind of pisses you off for 30 minutes. And I'm totally willing to admit that we're an extreme case, and this, we've said in our other videos, we do not live like a how-to lifestyle. We're not trying to teach you guys how you should do the Appalachian Trail with your kids. We feel like we're uniquely suited for this. We've uniquely trained. You know, this is to address some of the haters that are saying, oh, they're gonna quit. You guys, we're not gonna quit because it's hard. Like, that's not gonna happen. We're not gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's cold? Oh, this is like, I'm tired? Like, I mean, our entire life is geared not around just building muscle and stamina and backpacking knowledge, but actually teaching ourselves and our children the value of being able to handle discomfort. So for those of you guys that have seen some of our videos, you know our lifestyle. Like, our 7-year-old has run a marathon with us. All of our kids, my son who's 13 has run 5 marathons with me. Those were not because we cared about running or because we were gonna be like runners. That was because those were like trainings in discipline for us in learning to kind of like not take for granted the fact that we can use our bodies to do things that oftentimes feel uncomfortable.
And we can mentally go over those hurdles when we feel discomfort, and we can press on.
Yes. I mean, we've heard people on the trail say they quit because they say like, oh, I don't do cold, or I don't do this, or I don't do that. I don't do camping. I don't do outside. We don't have that, and we don't want that. Like, our spiritual goals in life are such that we want to be the type of people, and I'm not saying we're all there yet, but this is our goal, and this is why we are even doing this trail. We want to be the type of people that can be content sleeping in a bathroom. That was hard. Or even in the snow, and to be like, damn, like, I'm alive, and this is beautiful out here. And, you know, we don't think that the world, the universe, God, like, owes us anything. Owes us, like, a heated, warm house or running water. And in America, we just get used to those things, I think, and then we get a sense of entitlement to them. And then oftentimes it's easy for others to look down on people who don't kind of like operate in that same way, and feel like it's kind of weird because it's almost like you're feeling sorry for them, but in a way it's like, you know, it's actually pride. It's like pumping your own ego up. And I don't know, I actually have sensed that in a lot of the comments, that people, in a way, it comes across as like, oh, they're looking out for our 2-year-old and they really care about our child. But I think when you prioritize comfort too much, it's actually very self-serving. It's not looking out for other people. You're just doing what makes you feel better as a human. And seeing someone else cold, you can't handle that. So you're like, well, you need to be warm, and I'm gonna impress my viewpoints of comfort on all of you because that's, you know, what makes you feel better. But I think that's really just selfish too. So if you give a kid whatever they want because they ask for it and because it makes you sad to see them sad, you know, that's not loving to kids. So a lot of our videos of the Appalachian Trail are kind of sharing that journey with you guys about what it's like to do these hard things and to go through these types of transformations, because they are transformative, you know. And I think people are seeing the videos of us saying, oh, it's cold, and they're like, oh, well, didn't you know it's gonna be cold, dumbass? Like, that's your fault. And I'm like, don't get us wrong, I'm not complaining. I mean, like, we could be anywhere in the world right now. Like, we could afford to be at a 5-star resort, but we're choosing to be here. And honestly, like the harder it gets and the more we get to that point where we feel like we're gonna break emotionally as parents, like that's like what we signed up for. That's like why we're doing it. So, you know.
Because we believe it can shape our character and make us better people.
And with our kids, I think our job is not to push them so hard to the point they break, but also to give them as much as we believe they can handle that's good for them. And this is not, like I've said, this is not our kids' first rodeo. They are not strangers to discomfort. And I don't know, I have this story in my head that like just really sticks with me when our family did this hike around Mount Rainier, and it's been difficult. It's like a 95 mile. The elevation is way higher than anything we've done on the Appalachian Trail so far in terms of ups and downs. And then we went to this like resort in the Bahamas, the one that's on all the travel channels, Atlantis. So it was like total contrast, right? I mean, this was like one of those all-inclusive buffet, just weird stuff. And afterwards, we were going to go speak at this REI thing on our family's hiking. And so I asked the kids right beforehand, I said, which trip did you guys like more? And I figured all of them were going to say this Bahamas trip, this water park in the Caribbean that we had just got back from. At that time, we had 5 kids. Every single one of them, even at the age of like, I think Filia was 4 or something, said that they would have preferred and appreciated the Wonderland more than the experience we had in the Bahamas, even at that age. So I think, you know, even the kids appreciate these things, even though, you know, maybe they wouldn't choose them up front. I don't know. In a nutshell, kind of our philosophy or theology or whatever you want to call it, our big picture ideas, is we've come to believe the most important thing in life is relationship. Ultimately, we believe the most important relationship we can have is with God. And we believe that He gives us family and friends, but especially family, to help learn about the bigger relationship with Him. But that's why we have family, and that's why we have spouses and children. That's why it exists. Like, it's not random, it's not just science. There's actually like a rhyme to the reason. Which is why we have so many kids, and it's why it's the most important thing in our life, and it's why we homeschool, and it's why, you know, basically I retired 5 years ago was to just spend time with the kids. It's why, you know, we're doing this thing as a family. So in a way, like, I don't know, when we believe that relationship is the most important thing, we're going to prioritize the activities that deepen those relationships. And we've seen these types of activities do that. So I'm so thankful that a trail like this exists, that we have the financial freedom and the training to be able to even attempt it. And it makes me like not even care about finishing it, you guys. Like, in a way, it's not, the whole bucket list thing is not the primary motivator. We've talked about quitting 5 miles before, or spending 3 months, or it's just like, you know, it's, I do want to finish it in a way, but, and I also know that not everyone believes that or has that same philosophy on life about relationships. But we believe like that's kind of congruent with what we understand the Bible says. And I know, like, you know, we never heard this in Sunday school or whatever, but we think that God cares far more about intimacy with us than He does our immediate comfort. And that He's willing to do anything to be close to us. This is like, you know, if you guys, whether you call yourselves Christians or Catholics or Mormons or atheists, I don't care, but if you're familiar with the story of like Jesus coming down to earth and dying, like that's what that whole mess was all about, is like He sacrificed His immediate comfort for long-term relationship, like to a point where like His Son actually died. Now, I'm not trying to paint some allegory of like what we're doing with our kids or anything like that, but just in terms of prioritization, that's how we live our life. And that's why we sacrifice immediate comfort for our long-term goals. So I guess all I'm saying is this. I don't expect you to agree with us. You don't have to believe this to watch this channel or in life. It doesn't really matter to me. But when people are saying, oh, you're doing this and forcing your kids because it's some bucket list thing, or because you're stupid and haven't thought about the risk, I'm like, that's dumb. You know, like, you actually just don't know. And that's okay. Like, we've never really taken the time to explain it since we've started these trails. But I also hope people, you know, whether or not you agree with this stuff, to me the proof is in the pudding. And what I would like is for people to pause for a second and to be able to say, like, huh, am I willing to consider that maybe my viewpoints of life and relationship and how children ought to be raised could change? If you are willing to, I hope you stick around and watch the videos. If you're like, nope, I know and I'm not interested in another way, I don't care, really it's not too beneficial for us, for you to be around or for you to comment, because you're not gonna change. And at this point, we're not interested in changing, at least from the comments. Like, we're pretty sure about what we're doing. We've spent a lot of money and time to get here. And there's no, you know, we don't have any bad blood about that. Like, we're not trying to convert the world to our way of thinking. But we do want to provide a way. We do believe there's people out there who are frustrated with the way parenting is being done, where like parenting has been relegated to just keeping kids safe. It's like, keep them normal, keep them structured, and keep them safe. And then you're like, congratulations, you're a good parent. We believe parenting is about more than that. It's so much more fulfilling to engage in this, like, the payoff is so much better for this like type of relational thing. And by the way, I would say that same thing about like religion or belief in God. Like, I was taught, like, as a kid in churches and stuff, that like religion was about like being safe, like not going to hell, and like being good. And I was like, that got really old really quick for me. And now that's not at all what religion is to me, or my relationship with God, or, you know, anything like that. It's actually, I want something more than that. I want depth. Otherwise it's just not worth it. It's not interesting for me. Like I said, we don't have to agree, but I hope for those of you that are here and you're new, that maybe you could just like give it some time and be open to the fact that there are other beliefs out there. It's not just crazies that are trying to push their agenda on their kids and are just idiots. I mean, we have our issues and problems also, but that's not what this trip is. It's not some like just, you know, fly off the seat of our pants wacko thing. So I don't have much else to say besides that. I hope this was helpful for some of you. I know some of you guys have been around this channel for a long time, and I hope even this was helpful for you, because we have people that really have helped us, and I don't know, we found people that kind of believe the same way we do, and we're able to kind of like share ideas and I think offer mutual hope both directions. Because when we were young and married, we were pretty disgruntled with the way we saw family operating, but we didn't know there was another way possible. So that's why we're filming this and showing it and absorbing the hate comments and lugging around a freaking MacBook Pro up and down mountains. Is we think it's worth it if 1 or 2% of you get hope from this video and think, oh, maybe there's more to life than just like checking the box of going to school and the kid not dying today. That's worth it to us.
Yep.
We're excited to get back on the trail. Yeah, I hope maybe something will erupt in the comments where you guys can share if this video is helpful or not. We aren't afraid to block people in the comments. We haven't done that much. I've done it with maybe 5 people. But the only reason why we do that, you guys, is not if people disagree. It's actually if there's like non-conversational, it's actually disruptive to a tone of people talking. So if that happens, we'll post our like comment policy below, but we've been kind of lax on it. But regardless of what side you're on, I don't care if you agree or disagree with us, if you're like bashing other people, to me it just makes for a non-productive environment and not what we want to contribute to on YouTube. Okay. You really let me go on that one, just because you were drinking decaf.
No, you did a good job.
You're looking really cute tonight.
Thank you.
Ready to get back on the trail tomorrow?
I am.
It's a love and a hate, isn't it?
Yeah, I was telling Ben that this part where I want to get back on the trail, the 10 hours before getting on the trail, you come into the town, and then the 10 hours right before is the hardest part. Not necessarily because I want to stay here, but the contrast is so extreme that the first like hour or two on the trail is a little bit painful because you're just like, whoa. You're like, I am not in a Holiday Inn anymore.
Especially when it's raining.
I am drenched and I am walking.
All right, guys. Hope to see some of you out on the trail of the Appalachians and in life. Peace wherever you're at. We'll see you guys tomorrow.